Hello everyone, it's the Buff Torchic, and it's time for a review. I decided to review a universally hated episode along with the universally praised one. I feel like it could be a fun concept to toy around with, and maybe you can even find out the universally loved episode with the hated episode. Also, real quick, finding the worst episode was incredibly hard. Pokemon fans rank their worst episodes based on ratings, and most of these episodes aren't even viewed by that many people, so it's pretty hard to tell whether or not people enjoy them or not. And the other half are just episodes that either aren't necessarily universally hated, or they're just the times that Ash lost in the Pokemon League. So the episodes I found weren't necessarily bad in the slightest, they were just rated poorly. I wanted an episode that any Pokemon fan would snap at rage to, that wasn't a Pokemon League battle. Because Ash loses the Pokemon League battles all the time, but those battles are still amazing. And I know Pokemon could do a lot worse than just Ash losing a battle. But the Pokemon band fanbase is hiding a heck of a lot from us. Most episodes on the bad list come from Diamond and Pearl, a lot of Pokemon fans' favorite part of the anime and consistently making top 3 best parts of the anime. So I knew they were hiding something. However, when reviewing the forums, there was one particular episode that kept popping up that fit my criteria. And I'm here to review that episode alongside that with a universally praised one. With all that said, let's start the episode with Bye Bye Pikachu. So the episode opens with Misty, Pikachu, and Brock relaxing, and then Ash imitating the Kangaskhan kid. Pikachu notices a wild Pikachu but scares him. Pikachu chases it and finds a preposterous plethora of plentiful Pikachu. But then the Pikachu get Vietnam flashbacks and run away. But this little guy never was in Nam, so he doesn't care. And the other Pikachu start to trust him. But then Ash scares them away. Afterwards, that little Pikachu got carried away by the river, and Pikachu tries to save it. And all the other Pikachu manage to save both of them. So something Team Rocket and then the Pikachu are singing. And the main part of the feelings towards this episode start in the next scene, so let's switch over to a double dilemma. They enter a Pokemon Center, where Nurse Joy indirectly tips off the paparazzi that Norman's kids are home. They leave the Pokemon Center where they just get swarmed. May shows them 2 contest ribbons and they go berserk, and it's actually executed pretty nicely. It gives off the feeling that the rest of the episode has, that May doesn't really try that hard and gets praise, and Ash, being objectively better than May, still gets a heck of a lot of hurt and pain because everyone hates him. Because he's not May, or Max. This premise sets up the episode and how the comedy will turn out into the enjoyment of the episode. However, things will get heated to the point where people choose their taste between the episodes, so let's go back to Pikachu. Okay, so Ash starts to contemplate whether leaving his Pikachu, as he believes it's the place where Pikachu would love to stay. And this is where everyone says the emotion comes in. Now, whether or not the emotions are justified and wanted is based on the ranking of the universally loved or hated. But the part that puts the nail in the coffin gets interrupted by Team Rocket. Team Rocket does Team Rocket things and gets their asses kicked, and Ash bonds with his Pikachu, during which Pikachu makes sure the other Pikachu are safe. So Ash, rationally as he is, abandons his Pikachu. He has other reasons, like it's better for Pikachu or whatnot, but I know the real reason. Now, before we get to the part of the episode that makes this episode go from average to whatever people deem it to be, let's go back to a double dilemma. So Team Rocket gets hungry, as they do, and see that everyone in town has a huge crush on Norman, so they impersonate everyone in Norman's family. Obviously, people catch on that Wobbuffet and Meowth aren't their children, but this one dude who is like a ringleader because he's Norman's neighbor is also blind, so he lets the impersonation continue. Okay, so they set up the shift of May's character in this episode. Wait, what? Oh. Okay, so this is the part where May's character shifts a little bit. So the character peer pressures them into doing a contest move, and they indirectly tell you that May is getting way too cocky for her own good, which sets up something for later. Speaking of setting up for later, these 2 kids get pissy with Ash and tell him that he can't battle the gym unless he beats them. Ash being Ash agrees. He proceeds to kick that kid's ass, but we cut to Team Rocket so we don't necessarily know what happens. Now would be a good time to switch over to Pikachu's goodbye and finish the episode. So we see Ash running off into the forest, leaving behind Pikachu. They roll a bittersweet montage of their moments together, recollecting their memories as Ash leaves his Pikachu. He runs and runs as the episode fades to black. Except, spoiler alert, Pikachu actually stays with Ash, and all the other Pikachu do some chant that they already did. But look, the thing is that Pikachu's back on the team and the episode ends. Bullshit, I know. That whole episode had nothing to do with itself and didn't even need to exist. When I was reviewing this episode, I didn't really make much stand out, as you could probably tell, and I just read the plot. You want to know why? Because the fuck is there to talk about? Besides obviously cliche ending. The episode is bad and the rest of the episode is pointless and doesn't warrant existence. But I can't go too far yet because we still have one more episode to finish. So let's do it. So the episode continues with Team Rocket scamming the ever-loving crap out of everyone, once again setting up for later. We cut back to Ash versus Golduck. Ash obviously wants to win, and then as the rules stated, the kid allows him to go to the gym. Just kidding, a shit ton of kids try and fight Ash, setting up for something later. So now we cut back to a tired Max, forced to just stand there as May keeps showing off her contest moves. This is the final setup in the episode. So now we come back to Ash and his Pokemon, absolutely exhausted for kicking everyone's asses. Hell, he starts beating them like 10 at a time, but more and more keep showing up. Now this segment ends the setup segments and starts trying to connect the three plots that are going on. So the link between May's plot and Ash's plot is that both of them are exhausted, so they have something similar with each other. But since Ash has a pretty bad reputation with everyone, they ask May to help kick his ass. Obviously she agrees. Well, at least by the crowd standards. So now Ash and May are ready to battle. So Ash and May get ready for battle. However, the townsfolk are pretty pissed at Ash for his mere existence. But before we get to the battle, we have to combine the C plot with everything. As the townsfolk look for Norman as he mysteriously disappeared. But they find him and they soon chase him. So now it's Ash versus May. Obviously Ash starts winning, albeit to the displeasure of the crowd. But then May creates a secret strategy. As she attacks the trainer. Since Ash is too tired to really dodge or anything, he loses. So now someone tips off that there are imposters in town, and it's soon revealed that Team Rocket's behind everything. As they make their getaway, Team Rocket loses with the help of Ash and Pikachu, and the whole town still hates Ash, but they do have respect for Pikachu at least. So the episode ends with everyone leaving behind the chaotic day they just had. So now that both episodes have been reviewed, can you tell which one is the loved episode and which one's the hated episode? Here's a quick recap of what I think. So Pikachu's Goodbye is an episode that really doesn't need to exist at all. Although over half of all episodes in Pokemon don't need to exist, this episode takes the cake. This episode tries to warrant its existence by being sad at the end, but really what happens at the end of the episode doesn't matter at all, so it just makes me not want to care about anything in the episode. Now moving into a double dilemma, this episode also doesn't need to exist, but all good filler episodes have something about them that the writers add to make sure it's more entertaining than other episodes. And while Bye Bye Pikachu failed because its sadness did it, a double dilemma uses its comedy to function. A double dilemma sets itself up for the first half, and makes the three insane plots as insane as possible, so when they combine them, it makes a perfect episode, or at least a perfect plot of combination. This plot may not be the most perfect, but its over-the-top nature, combined with its comedy, makes for a really enjoyable watch. As the over-the-top nature actually adds to the comedy, and the comedy adds to the over-the-top nature. So it's just one big loop of the episode structure helping itself out. And, in that way, it just really helps the episode look a lot more polished and actually good. So unless you watch the Pokemon anime, you would believe that the universally hated episode is Bye Bye Pikachu, and the loved one would be a double dilemma. But it's actually the other way around. People praise Bye Bye Pikachu for its god-awful ending, and people despise a double dilemma for being over the top. But the problem that they have judging a double dilemma is actually that they take it way too seriously. For an episode, a town is cool with barbecuing a trainer, that should definitely not be taken seriously. But people still do, and that really skewers their enjoyment. Here's the thing about Pokemon. They're always over the top. Team Rocket is the definition of over the top, and there are a good amount of Team Rocket episodes. They're not the only people who are over the top. So if you try to take every single episode of Pokemon seriously, you're really not going to enjoy the show at all. Because it's always over the top, and it always just tries to be funny in a way that's just cartoonish. Because they know that they're in a cartoon, and they want to make it as cartoonish as possible. And the only time you should ever take Pokemon seriously is either with a gym battle, or when an episode's trying to be sad. But if an episode isn't sad or shouldn't exist, then you shouldn't care about it. But just remember that these are all my opinions. You can have your own. If you're mad at my opinions, that's fair enough. I got pissed when looking for a bad episode because I found my favorite episode on the list. That actually didn't piss me off. The thing that pissed me off is that they said Chimecho was annoying. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? If you don't like Chimecho, then you don't like Wobbuffet. But whatever, that's something else. Look, just remember that Garbodor is my favorite Pokemon, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.